If there's anyone who can come out of a live large contest undefeated, it would be Dana White. So, if you were thinking that Dana White was good with just martial arts, wait till you see him nailing the lavish lifestyle like it's a sport. Let's dive into Dana White's expensive taste, but before that, make sure to subscribe to our channel. The president of the Ultimate Fighting Champion, Dana White, has definitely left many people behind in this race. With a net worth of more than $500 million, White basically lives at the top of the mixed martial arts industry. But his interests go beyond mixed martial arts. Dana entered the world of boxing when he was 17. He had just begun boxing, and he had befriended the former Golden Gloves champion Peter Welch. And this relationship was the one that influenced White to enter the fight business. Although initially he wanted to be a professional boxer, he started working as a boxercise coach. While a boxercise coach, he began training with John Lewis for jiu-jitsu. Through Lewis, Dana met two mixed martial artists who were looking for a manager, so he took the opportunity to become a manager. And while he was working as a manager, he met the owner of the parent company that owned UFC back in the day. When he found that they were planning to sell the organization, he started working towards his plan to acquire UFC. However, White got UFC with nothing but just the name. All assets and all rights were stripped to avoid bankruptcy, so Dana had to start from scratch to build the organization, which was not what he wanted it to be. Since we are already on the topic of martial arts, let's start with his weapons collection. One of the most bizarre items in Dana's collection is this Soviet-era AK-47 that has $100 bills wrapped all over it. It is also illegal, and it's not just any old and expensive rifle. This one has an exposed magazine that shows the bullet. And the most surprising part of this item is that each bullet is full of illegal substances, including oil, gold, diamonds, and even blood. Dana bought the Soviet-era rifle for $25,000, and apparently, it is supposed to represent the transformation of currency over the years. This rifle is not the only weapon in his collection. Dana also owns ancient samurai swords. The story behind the sword inspired Dana, and thus he acquired this 16th century samurai armor. Can you imagine how impressive his collection must be? This Japanese sword is an heirloom that has been passed down to every samurai family over the hundreds of years, and this was also carried in World War II. White has spent more than $69,000 on this one. Let's move to his vehicle collection now. Dana White loves a little thrill in his life. So, Dana always selects his motorcycles for their speed. One of his craziest purchases was a UFC decal Ducati 999R. This custom bike with a top speed of 170 miles per hour, the motorcycle cost him around $23,000. But perhaps it's purchases like these that set the bar when you are the UFC president. Harley-Davidson gave Dana White a custom-made chopper based on his likes. This was in exchange for a UFC sponsorship. Even though he got it for free, the Harley actually costs $25,000. Perhaps the Ducati and the Harley were not enough for the president because Dana got a third motorcycle as well. This one is an MV Augusta 4A, which can go up to 194 miles per hour. This is its most expensive motorcycle purchase, and it is priced at $34,000. Apart from his obsession with these speedballs, Dana also has a few cars. The first one is a luxury SUV. It is a Range Rover, which costs almost $80,000 to buy. This one is kept for the family's use. His second one is a Cadillac Escalade ESV, which is around $123,000. And finally, Dana owns a custom-made Maybach van, which is priced at $300,000. The van is wrapped in Howlerhead Bourbon logos and looks like a dream of every Maybach fan. He also has a collection of classic vehicles, which includes a 1969 Chevy Camaro, a 1971 Plymouth Barracuda, and a 1969 Ford Bronco. This trio costs around $228,000. So, if you thought you would get a cheaper deal on older cars, you couldn't have been more wrong. But these are just the vehicles that he purchased on his own. When you are as popular and rich as Dana White, you can even get such vehicles as gifts. A friend of his gifted him a 2024 BMW 7 Series. And this ride actually costs $97,000. Are we out here picking the wrong friends? With his rough and tough kind of personality, I would have never taken Dana as a guy who collects sneakers to make himself happy. But he has an office filled with just shoes. From Howler head shoes to UFC kicks to a custom pair of House of Pain Jordans, Dana Whityu takes his retail therapy very seriously. He has even got the Travis Scott bandana print, which is $10,000. But that's not the end of it. The ones that he often wears are the Dior and Air Jordan ones, and they cost $16,000. Collectively, his shoe collection is more than expensive than any of his bikes. Now let's take a step further and take a dive into Dana White's real estate empire and his assets. The first one is obviously the Ultimate Fighter Mansion. This property is designed specifically for UFC fighters. They can live in the mansion during the season or even during the off-season. This mansion is worth $5 million and has 9 bedrooms, 12 bathrooms, a movie theater, pool tables, an executive office, and a resort-like backyard furnished with a pool and an outdoor bar. This was just the UFC fighter's mansion. His own residence is much more lavish than that. Dana White loves his privacy and peace, and when he felt like he couldn't bear the noise from the neighboring properties anymore, he purchased all those properties, which gave him a 17,000 square foot mega mansion complex. The complex is a dream to literally all of us. A fully stocked gym, a basketball court that has the Celtics logo, and even a game room that features Street Fighter arcade machines. If I were him, I would never leave my place ever again. His backyard looks straight out of a tropical resort with a saltwater pool and a jacuzzi, while having a personal chef manage the barbecue counter. As one would imagine, the mega mansion complex costs a whopping $7.8 million. That's not the end of his assets. If his too cool to be true motorcycles, cars and van weren't enough, Dana White also owns a private jet. With his net worth, Dana refuses to settle with commercial flights, so he purchased a Bombardier private jet. The jet can accommodate 14 people. With high-speed Wi-Fi, widescreen television, a conference room, and a movie theater, the jet is more expensive than any of his properties. It costs a whopping $90 million. Dana White's lifestyle is not limited to just UFC and luxuries, it extends beyond that, as far as gambling. He loves his trips to Vegas, specifically for this purpose. His usual move is starting the night with putting in $75,000 and then taking home $100,000 or $200,000. His favorite game is blackjack, and we know about gambling. It is never not risky. Dana has also fallen victim to such loss, where he ended up losing $3.2 million in Las Vegas. The last one is not stupid, but it is definitely expensive. And it is the ownership of UFC. That is what made him the man he is today. In 2001, Dana acquired UFC for $2.1 million, but with Dana's precision and strategic gameplay, the organization reached new heights and was valued at $4 billion in 2016. He sold the organization in 2016 for this amount and detained a 9% ownership stake, which gave him an annual salary of $20 million and also gave him $360 million for the deal. There are other ventures that are wholly or partly owned by Dana as well. One of them is Power Slap. This was created and is still owned by Dana. It's a slap fighting competition that first debuted in January 2023. White is also a co-owner of Thrill One Sports and Entertainment, which is basically a content company that lives off sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. As the co-owner, he also has access to the properties owned by the venture, including Nitro Circus, Nitro Cross, and Street League Skateboarding. The president has left no stone unturned in making the best out of his net worth. A common man cannot even think about spending on such stuff, and that is probably why we are all in shock looking at these expenditures. Do you think the same? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned, people.